Good morning. Good morning. Let's take a walk down memory lane. I'd like you to think back to all of your years in school, from the itty-bitty all the way to university. If we were to ask your teacher to describe you in one word, what would they say? Now, this involves a little bit of audience participation. So please raise your hand if the following one-word label was used to describe you. Are we ready? Okay, agreed. Here we go. Please raise your hand if the one-word label used to describe you might have been quiet. Anyone quiet? Okay, very nice. Look around, look around. Okay. Safe environment. Please raise your hand if the one-word label to describe you might be funny. Any comedians? Okay, we have some comedians. Very nice. What about friendly? Anyone described as friendly? Ah, yes, we're all friendly here in Poland. Love it. All right, one more. Raise your hand if the one-word label used to describe you was smart. Don't be shy. Come on, smart. Very nice. What if the one-word label given to you had a negative stigma, a flawed perception, an associated stereotype? What if that one word stuck with you your entire life and it could create opportunity or deny it? What if the one-word label given to you might affect how people treat you, their expectations, and even how you would view yourself? Well, I go back to my many years in school, and one of the labels I received was nonverbal. Now, I know that's quite hard to imagine at this point, right? You can't catch me not talking. Just ask my husband. But yes, at one point in time, I received the label nonverbal. That label cost me a lot of things. It was determined that because I could not communicate effectively, that I wasn't learning new information. I wasn't taking anything new in. That was false. But that label denied me opportunity to learn alongside my classmates, to engage in age-appropriate opportunities. That label. Here's a fact. Labels possess a mighty and imperfect power. In fact, researchers started to look at the cognitive effects of labeling around the 1930s. One researcher by the name of Benjamin Whorf, he found what we call linguistic relativity theory, which says that labels are more than just idle word placeholders. They can determine what we think, feel, and even believe. Yes, the long-term consequences of labeling a child smart or slow are quite profound. Specifically, some researchers got together and they randomly labeled a group of students academic bloomers. Now, these students were no different than any other student in the school building. They placed these students into a teacher's classroom and told the teacher, "You're about to teach the smartest students in the school. You're going to have the academic bloomers." What happened? Well, a year later, these students took an end-of-the-year IQ assessment. They scored 10 to 15 points higher than their non-selected peers. That's pretty profound. Why did these students score so much higher than their non-selected peers? Well, the teachers fostered the intellectual development of these academic bloomers, providing and proving that self-fulfilling prophecy that these students were indeed very smart. Now, this label, academic bloomers, it took these students very, very far. They were very successful later on in life. But what about some of these labels? Special ed, at risk, free and reduced, Title I, refugee, English language learner, learning support. You add your specific label or your category. Now, many of these categories require very specific specifications to meet the category, whether it's medical models, research criteria, or just budgetary specifications. Here's the fact. There is more to a person than their label. In fact, there's exceptionality, and that label can just distract us. The label autism. For some, it brings to mind thoughts of a child kicking, screaming, running, tearing down a wall. What does the label autism mean to you? For me, it means exceptionality. I think Temple Grandin. Now, Temple Grandin didn't speak until she was 4 years old. She was a designer in the making. In fact, in high school, she created something called the squeeze machine. That helped her release nervous tension and energy. Later, she modeled it into a chute for livestock that would help them safely and easily receive brandings, vaccinations, and other type procedures. She later went on to design a ton of innovative systems, such as diagonal pens, curved cattle chutes, to ensure that livestock could move about freely, reducing stress and injury. That was a huge contrast to some of the brutal force often applied to livestock. I think exceptionality. We want to be careful that we don't underestimate the abilities, the exceptionality, the talents that students bring to us just because they're different. Take the cactus plant, for example. The cactus is very different. In a collection of beautifully arranged rose-like petal flowers, the cactus is different. To some, it could be seen as a nuisance, those prickly, pointy things, right? It's going to be hard possibly to take care of that cactus alongside all the other beautiful flowers. We can move past the fact that that cactus is different. In fact, we can train our perception to find exceptionality, to celebrate exceptionality. For example, the saguaro cactus can hold up to 200 gallons of water. That's phenomenal. In a life-threatening situation, we can rely on that cactus. Now, we wouldn't dare tell the cactus to lose the spikes, the pointy things that make it so exceptional. Those spikes, those pointy things, we call them spines, and they actually do quite a lot to support that cactus. It provides shade, helps with water conservation, and even helps against herbivores. That cactus is exceptional. Would we tell our students to lose the very things that make them exceptional? The things that make them who they are? We give the label to some students in various parts of the world, special needs. I ask the question, are those needs that special? This 1-minute video will challenge us to think a bit different.
People with Down syndrome have special needs. Special needs? Really? It would be special if people with Down syndrome needed to eat dinosaur eggs. That would be special.
1 dinosaur egg. Enjoy.
Man, I think you were totally right about Lindsay.
If we need to wear a giant suit of armor, that would be special.
I got a condo in Manhattan. Baby girl, what's happening? So gonna get to clapping. Go pop a phone.
It would be special if we needed to be massaged by a cat. If we needed to be woken up by a celebrity.
Wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey. Where are you? You may know me from Scrubs or Office Space. A few darker flicks, The Rock, Platoon, Wall Street. Funny story, I played Ben.
Get out.
My bad.
That would be special. But what we really need is education, jobs, and opportunities, friends, and some love, just like everybody else. Are these needs special?
All right. That label could justify the ideology that persons with disabilities are abnormal and the rest of society is normal. Labels such as these could support the philosophy to separate some students from other students. Labels such as these can cause us to miss exceptionality that truly exists. I believe teaching one way and expecting every student to get it the first time sets all students up for failure. There's lots of ways to engage with information. In fact, Universal Design for Learning, it says that we all have brains that learn, share, and take in information differently. Our brains are all very, very unique. And in that, there is exceptionality. So some of us are saying, well, what's the solution? We can't necessarily get rid of all of the labels right away today. What could we do, say, instantly? We can change our language. We can refer to learner exceptionality, learner diversity, learner variance, over labels such as learning disabled. It seems like such a small linguistic shift, but it's quite profound because, again, changing how we think, changing our language, changing our labeling, we can find exceptionality. We can train our perception to look for assets versus deficits. We can have a visionary strength-based approach to reaching and teaching all of our students. We know that all of our students bring such great gifts. Are we exploring and celebrating those gifts? A visionary strength-based approach is person first. So it takes in what the student does well, what they can do independently. And then that category label, well, that's like number 50 on our list for truly exploring exceptionality. We can provide our students lots of learning style inventories, not to trap them into one learning style, but again, to share this idea that we all learn differently. We all engage with information in a different way, and we can share our knowledge in a variety of different ways. One of my favorite quotes is this: if a flower doesn't bloom, you fix the environment in which it grows, not the flower. The power of exceptionality. A visionary strength-based approach identifies what the student does well, we build on it, and we keep going. Now, I received many, many teachers that had this strength-based visionary approach to teaching and reaching students. These teachers listened to me with more than just their ears. It is because of these teachers I can talk about exceptionality today. Exceptionality comes without a label, from underneath it, and despite it. Thank you.